Oh, really?
Please welcome back Impact producers Nguyen and Connie Trang. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. We will open this up to the audience, so be prepared to ask questions. But I'm going to start with some questions of my own. As both someone who is Vietnamese and someone who isn't, what was it like working on this project? And if you have like little anecdotes, we'd love to hear them.
I can start. So I'm Vietnamese American, like I was saying earlier, before the film started. It was a lot of emotions. I mean, I think just like the film you also saw, there were so many emotions like wrapped up in it. I think what was particularly special was, again, like this was like a thing that I grew up around. My aunts and uncles were like going out every weekend, and I was like, why are you going out? Like, where are you going? And we would have Paris by Night playing at the back of our dinner parties like every Sunday, and it was just like this like deep cut of like childhood experience I had never talked about with anyone else, and then to see it on screen and explained and named in this way was like incredibly validating. And yeah, I think that was particularly special. I think talking to Elizabeth in this journey about with her mom, like you saw, so 2 or 3 years into the movie, she had this version of New Wave that was like just all fun and dancing and music history and like cool Vietnamese people partying, and like that's it. And then she scrapped that entire version and then redid the whole movie with this part where she actually like talked to her mom. And I think all of these, her being brave enough to do that, I think brought up a lot of stuff within me personally, and like things that other people in the Vietnamese community can probably resonate with, and put names to emotions and like the way that parents would act. And not that my parents' situation directly mirrors it, but just like the sacrifice that they were dealing with. They talk about, like my parents talk about their Vietnam War stories and like casually escaping on a boat all the time. And so it's just like, you're like, they just say it because they lived it, right? But then watching it on screen and having it narrativized this way was just like incredibly powerful and special. So to work on it is even crazier. I think, yeah, I don't know, Connie, you take it.
So I am the non-Vietnamese half of Asian Americana. So the first time I started seeing imagery from New Wave, Gabby shared with me, I was just like, wow, this is really cool. I didn't know that cool Asians in America existed in the 80s, like truly, because I think at that time I had only heard about Vietnamese stories through food and from the Vietnam War. And like a lot of times, like Gabby mentioned in the beginning, like when we first spoke to you guys, a lot of like storytelling about Asian Americans or like Asians in general, in America at least, it's kind of sad. So it was really cool to see like Asians like dancing and like with like mohawks and yeah, doing drugs and stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. I think people need to like hear this story, because I am like a huge believer and promoter in narrative plentitude, like in working with Asian Americana, but also professionally as an art director. And yeah, like I just think storytelling for Asian Americans is really important. Like, you know, like I think people need to see more of this, and so I have been really excited to share this with a lot of my friends in this room as well.
Could you talk a little bit about where you see like showing this film in the future, like what you have planned, anything like that, so that we can help support?
Yeah, so many things. So we did like a big event last week, actually, after the premiere for for the community. We worked with like local Vietnamese restaurants and DJs and artists to just bring the community together around the film. D&D is here, their staff. If y'all ever eaten their Vietnamese food in Greenpoint, go, they're awesome. They were there. So that was a big event, and then we're doing more of that. So there's one other screening tomorrow, that's the last Tribeca screening you can watch, and then here. At 11 a.m. tomorrow. If you would come again at 11 a.m. tomorrow. We won't be here, but you can come. You should come, and you should tell your friends to come. But we also have a screening coming up with Bubble Tea and Welcome to Chinatown and the One Club for Creativity. Later in the summer, we're still talking about a date. We don't know exactly yet, but share with your friends. The reason the cast and crew can't be here today is because they're at the DC Docs Festival, and they're going to Austin for a festival, and so they're kind of on this like track. But like the more awareness you can spread and just talk about and share on social media and tag at New Wave Documentary, the better. Yeah.
And also, a very direct way to support is everybody has a ticket ID number, and so if you go to Tribeca Film Festival /New Wave Film, then you can vote for this film and bring it up to #1 so we can get even more awareness.
Unfortunately, the voting closed yesterday.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. That's a bummer, but still share. Still tag at New Wave Documentary and tell your friends, tell your mom, call your mom. Yeah.
Yeah, call your mom. Do we have any questions from the audience? Yes, right in the back there.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. You were talking about, narrative, plentiful, plenitude. What other stories in the Vietnamese community would you like to kind of maybe work on in the future, or you think should be told that we just haven't resourced or invested in yet?
Okay, so I have a couple of things to say. I'll share that after. The first thing is we think about this a lot, about narrative plenitude a lot. There are so many that are coming out of it, like right now. I think we're kind of in this interesting space with Asian American filmmakers where we've seen like the mainstream hits and like the Everything Everywhere All at Once and all these things, but there are so many more filmmakers. So one other film that actually we're working on promoting next week that's coming out on June 20th is a film by Sally Tran, and it's called Don't, and it's about these mostly Vietnamese, but some other Asian American badass femmes. I think some of the cast is here. Badass femmes who like gang together and like can kick your ass in like NYC Chinatown. And I think it's kind of a response to all of the stuff that happened about 4 years ago with Stop Asian Hate and stuff, but it's kind of like taking that and going a little bit above and beyond with that and going to the extreme. I think another one, Connie and I always talk about making a movie together, and we really want to make an Asian rave movie.
Yeah.
So that, and I think there's like a lot of Vietnamese communities that can resonate with that as well.
And Asian American.
And Asian Americans more broadly, but I grew up with I had a rave phase. I don't know if I feel like it's an Asian rite of passage.
Any more questions? Yes, right in the back. Yes.
What happened to Paris by Night, and would you make a movie about what happened?
It's still happening. Like Paris by Night still exists. I grew up with it being on like VHS tapes that like we would just have stacks and stacks of it at like our house. It's still going. Like you can probably search it on Google and watch it. I would love to make a movie about Paris by Night. It's an interesting thing, and it's very popular in the Vietnamese community and always playing in the background, and I'd be down. Yeah.
Tell me more about your organization, though. What you're hoping to accomplish. Is it more film oriented or general Asian?
Yeah.
Promoting general Asian issues or other artists?
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot. Like, there's a big trend of Asian American artists, like
Totally.
visual artists, that are
Yeah.
developing a lot more.
Yeah, it's a great question. So our organization, again, is called Asian Americana. If you don't already know, it's spelled AZN. That's a reference to like early 2000s Asians and our like Ames scream names. But so the nonprofit is an organization, and our mission is to empower Asian women and femmes to succeed on their own terms. We actually started with working directly with Asian women and femme creatives, but we kind of broaden that because as we were doing that, we were finding that a lot of our audience isn't necessarily from a creative background, or maybe they have like a traditional career path, but they're really interested in taking a creative risk or going that route, right? So our hope is to be able to give them those opportunities to connect them across the board with people like Elizabeth, right? Maybe they went into medical school and they're like, actually, I want to become an actor. So like, and that's something that's like happening a lot in our community right now because there's so much pressure to succeed and like fill a traditional role. So that's the hope with that. We're doing a lot, Connie.
Yeah, and to add to that, I think in making this, like in starting this, it's because when we're working in corporate spaces, like we're not able to do things that we want to do. A lot of times it takes a lot of approval from people that don't look like us or care about us. And so we're kind of doing this as like kind of as like a FU, like we're gonna do our own thing, like, you know, so we have experienced this on our own, like, and together we're doing this, like we're doing things that we want to see in the world, and it's professional development, creative development, but also honestly just having fun together. Like we don't want what we do to feel super networky or like, I don't know, stiff. So yeah, we've been working a lot with like even like vision boarding workshops, doing a lot of like screenings, and like we have a big boat party coming up in September. So yeah, it's like just doing things that Asian women want to do.
I love that. Connie also forgot to mention she curated a whole art gallery with Asian American artists who, and the theme of it was all about, it was called Love in Translation, and it was all about Asian parental love and the different ways that they show love, and then in response how we show love. And so the artists all had art that was created around it in different mediums. So we work with a lot across different industries, visual artists, musicians, filmmakers like Elizabeth, and we take on a variety of different projects. We just launched a mentorship program that pairs like more experienced Asian women and femmes in their respective industries with earlier career stage ones that we're really excited. Elizabeth's a mentor, so yeah, we're excited.
That's amazing. I think we have time for at least a few more questions. Yes, right there.
Hi, my name's Myra. I wanted to ask about the song Saigon, the cover of it that was playing. I thought it was a really beautiful cover of the song. I don't know, like I was trying to find the artist that sang that cover. I'm curious if you know.
I'm like 99.9999% sure it's Trace. Her name's Trace. She's a Vietnamese American artist. She was here last week. We were hanging out with her. Trace.
Okay.
Yeah, Trace, and I think Lohariel too. They did like a partnership on it. Yeah, she's great.
You said Hariel?
It's Lohariel. Lohariel.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Any more questions from the audience? Well, thank you so much.
What was the production or the organization again?
Asian Americana.
Americana, got it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's all our questions and all our Q&A. Thank you so much for being here. Please tell your friends about this wonderful movie. It deserves so many people to watch it.
Thank you.
All right.